How was your week?
My week was cool up until, the inevitable, the bombshell that happened to the culture.
Yeah, man. I was trying to, there's no way you could not get around that, hearing the news about Nipsey Hussle. And, it was April 1st, so I really thought people around me were joking. Or I thought that they were being fooled. I was like, come on, man, it's April 1st. I'm not. I wasn't even bothering Googling it. Then it kept popping up and kept popping up and kept popping up. Like I was at my job and people were talking about, where were you when you heard the news?
Where was I? I don't even know. I don't know where I was because it was a Sunday.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday. I believe I was just home.
Yeah.
What was I doing last Sunday? Yeah, I believe I was just home.
Yeah. It was so crazy because I feel.
And then IG went up and I was like, hold on. Like, come on now. Nah, I ain't getting it. Nah.
Yeah, I feel like we just saw him somewhere.
Well, he just did an East Coast run and towards the end of the year for Victory.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, he just did an East Coast run.
Okay.
Where he hit the clubs, everything. And I was mad that I missed him when he came to the station that day, too. I'm even madder that I missed him when he came to the station that day.
Because I feel like he was just around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like
he just did an East Coast promo run.
Yeah, and it's sick, man, because
Or was
Nipsey,
it early this year? I think it was probably early this year.
Well, the
like
Victory
January.
Lap album came out early and
late.
It was one of the.
It was late. It was like November.
You talking about Victory Lap?
I think so.
No, it came out early in. He was like at the top of the year, top of 2018.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
top of 2019.
2018.
2018.
Yeah, 2018, bro. He's at the top of 2018.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, he had one of the best albums of 2018. Like. I'm on record for saying that. It was definitely one of the best albums of 2018.
Yeah, speaking of which, he actually, since that release, since his death, he's actually got over 6 million streams. And he's re-entered, the album has re-entered the Billboard Top 100 at number 2. So 64,000 copies since his death. And that's big because he actually owns all the music. And
I was straight riding with Status Symbol 3.
Yeah.
That was part 3. That was my favorite track.
Blue Laces. Real big.
Last time I checked, the one with CeeLo Green,
Dedication. I was rocking when the album first hit. Of course, over time, you move on to different music because that's just our attention span nowadays. But yeah, when it first hit, I was banging that Nip.
And to be honest with you, I was going back to it. There were times where, say, it'd be a dead weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Then no music really popped out, like nothing was really going on. Then I would definitely have the Nip, close by and putting it back in rotation. Of course, when his death came, it was all sorts of the thing that I saw that I don't think we've seen in a long time because, Pac died over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Was all these conspircy theories.
Yeah, and I wanted to believe it so bad.
That just blossom out. Now, you tell me which one, okay. Because I know I text you. And I didn't know.
And I was all in on the conspiracy.
I didn't know if you was joking or not. I was like, is he joking?
I was serious at the moment.
Because your sense of humor sometimes be a little off center sometimes.
I was all in. I wanted
and you don't
to believe
say LOL a lot.
I wanted to believe the conspiracy. So I was making myself believe it.
What conspiracy was that you went?
The Dr. Sebi, because he was making a documentary, and they did kill Dr. Sebi because he was putting out the information about he had a cure for AIDS, cancer, and all this stuff through natural.
You're one of the people that feel like they killed Dr. Sebi.
Of course.
You believe he died. You believe he was killed.
Yeah, if he got a cure for all the diseases, how he gonna die from it?
Okay, so you believe he had a cure for all the diseases. You believe that, there was a cure for AIDS and all that good stuff and cancer.
I believe there definitely is a cure for AIDS. I'm a I'll say economics, financial, a realist when it comes to stuff like that. The money ain't in the cure, the money's in the comeback.
See, I've always
let's keep them alive and keep them coming back to keep them alive. And then when we done ran this course like polio did, then we give them the cure. It's too early to give them the cure now.
I don't know, man. I always
we need to come out with a bigger disease first that's knocking people out. Then they'll come out with a cure for AIDS.
I always felt like it was a little bit bigger than that because I felt like there are people who are working hard to make form of cure. And you talk to any doctor or whatever that can explain AIDS to you in the most simplest form, it's a little bit more complicated than that because I remember when we learned in school that technically there's no cure for the common cold. Like the common cold is a virus, and all you're doing with your medications and in your system is making the common cold go to sleep. And AIDS, HIV being a virus that it is, it's 10 times, 100 times worse than that.
Of course.
So if you ain't got a cure for technically the common cold, I'm like, yo, so they just don't, there's no cure for nothing in a sense? Like, I don't know, man, about how much I believe in the fact that there's more money in the cure. I think it's one of those narrative things that people keep saying over time, and we just kind of like have believed it. But the Dr. Sebi, there are a lot of people who didn't even know who he was, and they were believing that conspiracy. They were believing that that's why he died. And he was making a documentary about him because he thought that his life was interesting. I haven't heard Nipsey say on record that he believed Dr. Sebi. He was more like, yo, his life was interesting. I thought that what he was doing was he had lived an interesting life. And people were just running with it.
Yeah, I ran with it. I jumped off the cliff with it. I was all
totally
like,
forgetting.
all because of this daggone documentary. They killed him.
I mean, like, all this, and people putting up quotes like, you better ride for me, all this other stuff. Like,
well, Nipsey did say that. He said, they killed me for this documentary.
Where did he say that at? I mean, seriously, I'm dead serious. I'm not even being an a-hole. Like, where did he say it?
They quoted him saying that.
They did, but when did he say it? I saw people saying it.
There's no video of him saying it.
That's my point.
So you don't think he ever said that?
Dog, I mean.
Okay. You think that was a part of the conspiracy that they put up? Okay.
I'm just saying
well,
that.
I mean, you could be right. Because, I mean, I don't know. But I jumped off the cliff. I knew that. I just wanted to believe something.
I'm just saying people were putting
something
stuff,
better than the inevitable. I wanted to believe something then.
Just like everybody wanted to believe that Jay-Z got his family, his kids a trust fund. And that turned out to not to be true. Yeah,
that turned out not to be true, too. But that is very believable, though, because Jay-Z does move like that. Like, he'll just, boom, and just do something just out of the craziness. And just like how they bailed out all the people from the riot in Baltimore. And I actually know one of the ones that they bailed out.
When you say they bailed them out, you mean like Hov and them bailed them out?
Hov and Beyonce bailed out for the Baltimore riots. All the people that were arrested in the riot.
The Baltimore Rebellion.
Yes, Baltimore Rebellion. Yeah, for that Freddie Gray. They bailed out everybody that was arrested in the riots.
Okay. And
I actually know one of the guys who actually was one of the main faces. When you go back and look up, and he was like the one talking in the middle of the street, and then like a Hummer goes by, and then he disappears in the Hummer. As the Hummer drives past, like he's one of the main ones. They bailed out every last one of the guys.
Well, it was also a little bit quick because I mean I know Jay-Z can make miracles, but it takes a longer than 24 hours to set up a trust fund, especially for $21 million.
Well, it was $15 million. That was the.
I read 21, but here's another reason why it was kind of easy for people to kind of believe, because two of Jay-Z's like main homeboys had put it up. Biggs had posted it up. Sean Peckers, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He posted it up. But to me, when you looked at the meme itself, it never cited the source. Like, it never said where the source was coming from. Like, everybody was just reposting the same thing. And I felt like that was almost disrespectful, because you almost kind of say, you take someone like Nipsey he was a business owner. He was like a Hov on another level.
Yeah, he was a younger version of Hov.
Yeah,
he was on there. He even said he hustled a Hov away. He said it on Hustle and Motivate.
And
he said he got $1 million life insurance on his flesh, on his $1 million policy on his flesh. He said that all that on Victory Lap.
But he also like worked with STEM research or something like that too, or did some works with that. He did a lot of works. He owned a lot of businesses.
Yes,
with the things that he was doing.
Everything.
Right?
He owned the Marathon, he owned the gas station, he owned the shopping center.
I say to say that his kids were taken care of through him. It's not like Hov had to come in and say, and that's my point. It's
there's no GoFundMe needed for Nip. I promise you that. I promise you that.
Not saying they wouldn't take it, but I'm just saying, like, there's no, like you said, there's no GoFundMe for that.
Yeah, there's definitely Nip's family don't need no GoFundMe. They are good. They are good. And the fact that everybody, I was talking about just supporting his music and continue to support his music and streaming it and doing all that stuff, that helps him. I mean, that helps him continue to support his family even though he's not here. So that's one way that if you want to support him, just keep his music alive, which I'm sure will probably be alive forever now. And on top of that, I believe he's going to become a martyr and in the likes of a Big, in the likes of a Pac. And because they're saying now, and even more, I believe maybe even more than Pac, because in California, and I'll say not in the whole California, I'll say maybe in L.A. by itself, because, and I actually heard one guy say that he's the first like actual L.A. artist to actually die like that. Pac repped L.A., but he wasn't from L.A.
Well,
he's the first L.A. born and bred.
Yeah.
Like,
really
repped LA.
Pac was really living in the Bay.
Yeah, Pac was
when he moved to California. He really was living in the Bay, which is Northern Cali.
Pac was born in the Bronx.
Right.
He lived in Harlem. He was born in the Bronx. He moved to Harlem, moved to Baltimore, moved to Marin City, and then that's where he set up shop. And then he got signed, and of course he ended up in L.A. because that's where that's the big market. So that's where all the business is. So he ended up in L.A. So he wasn't Pac was never from L.A. He was just adopted and just repped it and just wore the flag on his back. So they embraced him. But Nipsey is the first L.A. artist born and bred to actually go down like that.
I don't want to lose this real quick, and pardon me for a second, but one reason why I feel like the Dr. Sebi conspiracy was some BS is because I felt like it was also disrespectful to the family. Like, you wasn't allowing the family time to process. You wasn't allowing them, the family and friends, for them to process what just happened. You weren't allowing them the proper steps it takes for them to mourn. I mean, he had a family within himself, and he had friends. He had people that knew him personally. So to come up with these conspiracies off top before we were just even trying to understand what happened, I felt like was unfair. You understand? Like, it was totally disrespectful to, his partner, Lauren London, his kids, him being a son, him being a brother. Shout out to his brother, the gentleman name is Black Sam, you know what I mean, who showed up there when he got the call and things like that nature. So it's like his body wasn't even cold before we start having these conspiracy theories of you thinking like the government riding on them. And it's almost like that every time black people do something, whether we do something really, really great or we die very, very tragic, it always got to be some sort of mystic thing that happens to us. It's like if we make a grand achievement, you tell like a Beyonce and a Jay-Z, oh, it's the Illuminati. Oh, there's no way they would have got the Illuminati. It has nothing to do with their hard work. You guys ain't thinking Elon Musk signed with the Illuminati. You know what I mean? You guys ain't thinking that Bill Gates and them signed with the Illuminati. But when one of us make a certain achievement and we get to a higher form, all of a sudden we had to make a deal with the devil. Like, we had to sell our soul for some cookies for us just to get to that level. And I never understand that. You know what I mean? When we die, it's almost like, oh, well, they was out to kill him because he was out here trying to help black people. And it's like, okay, Al Sharpton still walking around here like, yeah, I get it. America does have a history of killing black people who are trying to do something, but that's not that. Like, that is what we, seeing being revealed was something totally different. And what is wrong with waiting to see the facts actually unravel before you start coming up? I mean, you have people writing full-fledged think pieces on the whole conspiracy and drawing the dots and the connection and all of that. So my thing is, if he was killed for making a documentary on a Dr. Sebi or anybody else, then Dr. Sebi got family, I think, that's alive, and people who still follow him. Why ain't they dead? Why ain't anybody else suffer from that or anything like that? It just, to me, it was just too much for people to take it to that far, and I just didn't understand that. It was disrespectful. Like, why would you even do that? You know what I mean? Why not? Why can't we process? I don't understand this rush society where we got to rush to these conclusions all the time. Why we can't just allow such situations to be like, yo, this is bad.
We just get caught up in the moment because I did, and I just wanted to believe something. I don't know. I just wanted to believe it was a conspiracy. Something had to be bigger. Somebody like him just couldn't go out like that. He was too embedded in that community, too loved, too respected, and not like that.
I will admit, and I hate to, I'm not gonna be afraid to say this, but I will admit one thing when it came to Nipsey Hussle when I heard about it is that it stuck with me a little bit deeper than the past couple deaths we had, because I realized how long Nipsey had been around, and I realized how much I've been following his career. Because sometimes we look at people and we tend to forget how they used to look. Like, I forgot I've been following Nipsey since before the brother even had the beard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I forgot I was following him when he was on the XXL. He was part of the freshman class. Like, he was a part of so many things that had happened in times of my life when me and you were coming up in this career. You know what I mean? In our careers. Like, he's somebody like around the same period of time you and I was just getting our feet wet doing what we was doing. And it feels different. Like, this death feels impactful to me, and I didn't even know the brother, personally. I just seen the things that he's done, and I knew people that knew him that said, yo, man, that dude good. I mean, from the moment he came out, like, he's not somebody that, like, start talking this righteousness, like, soon because his life got so crazy. He came out in the game talking about real estate, black empowerment, how we can own land, property. The dude was talking like that when he was, like, a kid. Who talks like that?
He was a student.
And you know what makes him different from Pac and a lot of other people is that he actually was putting action into the things that he was doing. And that might be what make his situation hit harder than Pac.
Well, I will tell you this. He was a lot older than Pac. Pac, you remember, Pac was 25. He died at 25.
But he showed, that also shows you how life is real. Like, if you give someone time to get there, look what they can accomplish.
Yes.
And if he did that at 33, what he could have done at 43, 53. Yeah. Because you're right, Pac was 25.
And I'll say this, Pac wasn't on the ownership thing. Pac was more he was more of the revolutionary as far as the gatherer.
And Pac was trying to get out of his contracts too.
Correct. He was trying to get out of his contracts too. So, and he had some legal binds. Like, Pac didn't have the money that he should have had at those times. He was bonded up with a lot of lawsuits and a lot of cases on him. So he had a lot of lawyers in his pocket. You have Suge in his pocket. It just wasn't. Pac died with $100,000 in his bank account, which is not a lot compared to you just sold 9 million records.
There are people working 9 to 5s who have more than that.
Yeah, like Pac died with $100,000 in his bank account. So, but yeah, so he was trying to, but Pac even said, that's where I got off of that. Pac even said this, I may not be the one to change the world, but I guarantee I'll spark the mind. So he was the one, the motivational speaker and the guidance. He wasn't. Maybe if he'd have lived to 30, he could have transitioned into the one.
And we also got to keep in mind, Pac never expected to live long. And we forget that too. He had been telling us he was about to die.
Because he was receiving real death threats from.
But he never believed it. Even before the death threats, you take family and friends, he never believed he was going to live a long life.
Correct.
So he was somewhat preparing us for the longest that he wasn't going to be.
Well, because that's where he came from. He came from the Black Panther, where he saw his whole support system taken out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it was a war on the Black Panthers.
And you know what? That's crazy because in Huey Newton's book, and that's weird that you even touch on that. In Huey Newton's book, the first few pages, Huey Newton talked about how he was asking Panther members, yo, who do you want us to contact when you die? And people were frozen because he had learned through, I think, a Cuban revolutionary who said in his book, yo, if a person isn't prepared to die, then they shouldn't be here. Like, you have to understand, like, you might not be a martyr. You might literally just be
a pawn
who just might die. But who do we need to contact? Because the struggle, the movement is going to go on, but we want to make sure your family is good. And Pac came up through that ideology of, like, okay, the stuff that you're saying, you're not going to be here long for that. The stuff that you're doing, you're not going to be here long for that. So in a lot of ways, to your point, we never got a chance to see Pac get to 33 or whatever because he never expected to be there. But that's a testament to show you that if you live long enough, look what you can accomplish.
You can transition.
Like, you can evolve. There's an evolution. Look at Jay-Z. Can you imagine Jay-Z would have died at 26?
Of course, Muhammad Ali is on record saying, if a guy views the world at 50 the same way he did at 20, he wasted 30 years of his life.
Period. There's no question about that.
He's wasted 30 years of his life. Bro. I'm the exact same age as Nipsey.
That's real.
I definitely don't view
my viewpoint of last year is different.
The way I did at 20. I mean, I own property, so I mean, I am an investor. I'm watching my money, and my money ain't funny.
Right.
So I mean,
like I'll call the cops on you.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah. You know what? I have grown up so much, and I've realized this because I had a situation at my office at my business with an ex-guy who's trying to, weasel his way back in. And I was like, look, he was getting hostile. I'm like, look, he's like, why can't I be here? I said what I said. I was like, look, I said what I said. I want you out of my office. That's it. But why? I said what I said. That's it. How many times do you want me to tell you? And I picked up the phone.
Why?
911. Yeah, I need somebody to come out to 6604, blah, 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 blah. Like,
you got to go.
Like, you know what? I'm not playing these games with you.
Yeah, right.
I'm not playing these games 2019. No, we're not going to go back and forth. I said what I said. I'm done. Now, if you still here, that's on you.
Bro, so this past week, I'm a counselor. I work with kids or whatever. My kids were doing this project where, they were in front of these business owners and they was pitching sales ideas, right? So make a long story short, the whole situation goes well. And I'm not going to name where I work at because that'd be disrespectful, but the whole situation goes well, right? The kids come outside, 2 of my boys, they see some local dudes. Boom, they get into it. It's a huge scrap out there on a main street in D.C., and I'll tell you about it off mic so you'll know. We out there. Dude, I'm out there, right? I'm pulling people apart. I'm grabbing grown men and kids all day long. So I finally get all my kids on the bus. I'm like, yo, y'all stay on this bus, right? The young dudes that was beefing with my kid, they throwing, shooting signs at the kids at the bus stop, everything. So I saw some officers in front of the bus. Mm-hmm. So I get off. I said, officer, these gentlemen right here are not with us, and they are threatening my young men. Mm-hmm. One of my young boys is like, oh, man, you going to go to the cops? Yes, you're right. I pay taxes. I ain't on that no more, bro. I ain't on. Now, mind you, did I feel that, back in the day when I had just got off the bus and been like, you on my little homies, you know what I'm saying, and woo, woo, woo? Yeah. I ain't on that no more, bro. Right.
West Coast stuff right there.
I ain't on that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw the cops. I said, officer, I even at the point. You know how they do to me? I even was like this. He right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right there.
Tank top, jeans, the one who's throwing the gun signs. That's him, sir. Go get him. You understand? I ain't got time for that, dog. I'm not a street dude. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a street dude. And that's what leads me to the next thing is, do you think Nipsey was keeping it too real? Because he was in front of his store, and his store was in the hood. And for what we saw has come out on camera, the alleged shooter, and I have to say alleged, even though we all saw it on video, named Eric Holder.
I ain't going to say alleged.
They look like there was a tension argument or whatever the case may be. He shot Nips. You know what I'm saying? He came back, shot him again, came back, and shot him again, right? It's been said that the reason why Nipsey didn't have his security is because he was going to his store to get clothes for a homeboy who was just getting out of jail, and he wanted to make sure that the clothes he was wearing was right before he would see his family. So he was doing a favor. So he ain't called security. He ain't called nobody. He just left out, right? Was that keeping it too real? Because if you don't go back to your neighborhood, you don't do nothing good, they call you a sellout and you're wrong. But we see continuously what happens when people are going back to their neighborhood. Who is my man? And pardon me if I'm correct, if I'm wrong. Fredro Santana? Am I tripping?
Fredro Santana.
Am I tripping? French Montana's my boy.
Yams?
No, man. Not Yams, man. Yams out of a drug. What's my man name who's French Montana boy who got murdered riding around in the Bronx?
Oh, Chink.
Chink. I'm sorry, man. And my apologies to anybody. Chink. He was riding around his neighborhood, right? And I remember Nori was saying, yo, somebody told him a long time ago when he rode through the hood, say, what's up? They was like, yeah, don't come back here. So it was like, what do you do on that? And I say that as somebody, when I go back home, I go back to my old neighborhood, dap up my big homies or whatever. But sometimes there been some daps when I'm like, I don't know how many times I don't know if I shouldn't come back. I don't know if I ride through this block. Because I come from, and you know me, man, I don't really like to really put this out there as no braggadocious, but I live on that block. I come from that block that they advertise to you on Detroit that scares people, right? And that's not all of Detroit. But that block that they advertise to you, that's my neighborhood, right? Yeah. My neighborhood has the one light in the entire neighborhood, the trees that you can't see, the abandoned houses, people living, you know what I mean? So when I ride through, I got to do the clap, clap, let everybody know I'm not whatever, so dudes can come out remember me. But how often am I going to keep doing that? And I mean, I got to check myself. So was Nips being too real? Was that an example of keeping it real, keeping it too real?
Nah, I just think he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time because what the story is, what happened is the guy, I guess he was around and Nip, sticking to the code. Like, you know who you are. Your rep is you're a rat. Like, I can't be seen with you. You got to go.
He was rumored to be an informant.
Yeah, like you were informing. You broke the code. I can't be seen with you. So he asked him to leave. And I heard it was, and what they're saying, it was politely. It wasn't in like a disrespectful tone or he wasn't going off. And the guy couldn't feel it, couldn't take that in his spirit. And it was eating at him. And he came and did what he did. And Nip was just there on a humble because he was picking up the clothes and making sure everything was right. So he kind of thought he was going to be in and out. And, as we all brothers do, we think we're going to be somewhere in and out. We get to stopping and talking to somebody. Yeah. And then next thing you know, we there for 2 hours. Yeah. So, and that's just how it go. Yeah. And that's just.
He also shot more than one person, too.
He hit 3 of them.
Did they die, too?
No, they didn't die. The other two lived.
But are they able to tell what happened yet, or they're still kind of in critical
condition? I'm not sure. And but it was 3 people that was hit, though.
And I think that's something important. I mean, nothing against Nip, but we need to acknowledge that this gentleman shot 3 people. You know what I mean?
Nip was the person of interest.
Famous, right.
He was the person of interest.
Right.
He shot the other 2 probably to make sure that he could get away. He probably shot the other 2 in defense of himself to try to make sure, that they couldn't get a hold of him. So. But Nip was the one he was coming after.
I mean, one of the conspiracies.
We can see that in the video.
One of the conspiracies is that the getaway car was already ready, so a lot of people feel like it was a professional hit. But
she actually turned herself in.
And she's off.
Yeah,
apparently.
Because she said she didn't know what was going on. She just thought she was giving him a ride or whatever, and they let her go.
And you know, but to be honest with
you,
you,
she sung like a bird.
Hey, but let's be real though. What getaway driver is going to admit is not going to tell that story?
True.
I mean, so I understand certain conspiracies, right? In that sense.
If I was her, I would get out of California right now.
Yeah. But I understand certain people feeling a certain type of way because
what I heard, a couple people in Eric Holder's family are already dead.
So, but my point is, if you're that kind of person, I can understand why you can have a conspiracy when it comes to that, because why exactly would a getaway driver like get away, especially like in LA? So I can understand the mindset of someone who's already ready to think a conspiracy in the first place. You know what I mean? And why you would think it looks suspect, because when you look at the video, she almost like she was already ready with the car running. But maybe both things are true. Maybe she was sitting in the car and she was just waiting on him. He, like you said, he got out the car like, yo, hold up. Because there's been a couple times I've done that. Like, if I see you with somebody driving, I'm going to say, yo, hold up for a second. I'm going to hop out the whip. That don't mean I know what you about to do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know about that. But I'm with you. For her sake. Oh,
yeah, she's done.
Yeah,
she's done. Like, the shooter, his best chances was to turn himself in, because
he got caught, right?
Yeah, they got caught. He definitely got caught, but he was definitely a dead man walking. I heard they was hunting him.
Well,
and they found two of his family members.
Did you peep that who his lawyer is?
Yeah, the person who prosecuted OJ.
Chris Darden.
Yeah, not who people who were defending him, the Kardashians and them, but the people that were trying to prove him guilty.
And he's already pleaded not guilty.
Yeah.
Now, you plead not guilty, you on camera, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you on camera. Now, Chris Darden ain't been around literally since that trial, since that situation. The last time I heard about Chris Darden is when they had the OJ movie last year and we was all watching it. And they made Chris Darden like a fool because they made Johnny Cochran look like just playing him all over the chessboard. Because Chris Darden is also the one who made OJ try on the glove. And the prosecuting team was begging him not to do that, because they knew that the trying on the glove situation was going to be, it'd be better to have the image of the glove versus OJ actually trying it on. But Johnny Cochran baited Chris Darden into making him say trying the glove. So once the glove won't fit, he knew he had the jury. So Chris Darden been made a fool out of and been feeling that way for years. And he felt like that he was on the wrong side of history, because at the time he was being called a sellout, everything like that, and people wasn't really rocking with him because he was prosecuting OJ. And now us know what we know about OJ now, he probably feel like going on the opposite side just for the sake that he feels like, well, I was right before and nobody believed me, so let me be right again. But, bro, this is on camera, bro. Yeah. OJ wasn't on camera.
Yeah, there was no surveillance cameras for OJ.
None. Whatsoever.
Nothing. It's just smoke and mirrors and what everybody wants to believe at this point.
Yeah.
Like what you want to believe, because nobody really knows.
Nobody should want to go down in history for being Googled for the wrong thing. Chris Darden, you already went down in history. You at least, with time, people could look back and say, like they have been, right? A lot of people feel like now, especially black people, yo, OJ was guilty. You know what I mean? I always had one philosophy was, to me, when I'm in the barbershop, OJ guilty. When I'm at the office, OJ is innocent. That's just how I was looking at life, right? That's just, I'm sorry. Even now, when I'm around a bunch of white people, they're like, man, he was guilty of sin. I'm like, kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm around a bunch of brothers, and they're like, man, I still don't believe it. I'm like, you blind. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on where I'm at. But if you Chris Darden, you could just let this chill out, bro. You could have been writing books now like, I told y'all. You know, your book could have been called now, Told You So. You know what I mean? So I don't understand the purpose of this. I understand that in the court of law, everybody is entitled to a lawyer. I don't understand why it had to be you.
Yeah, why it had to be him.
Yeah, I like you were chilling. Like who hit you up?
Who dug you up?
Yeah, and I know you're not cheap. Are you doing pro bono? Do you know this guy? Is he your nephew? I know you're not cheap. You prosecuted OJ. So to defend him, I know you're not cheap. And where did this guy, Eric Holder, get the money from? Who is he? We need to be looking into his account. Where he got money from, he can afford a lawyer like that all of a sudden. This one, my question is, I mean, this dude ran away. He didn't turn himself in. And you going to come defend him? Man, you just adding to every hotep theory that's online right now. They blowing up right now thinking all the conspiracy theories. It don't make no sense. Did you see that all the local gangs that came together too?
Yeah, it was a big unification out there, which is big because that doesn't happen every day.
Bloods, Cribs, Spyro, everybody.
Yeah, essays, everybody.
United. walking it. I mean, what does this say when we look back and we continue to the effects that you feel like Nipsey had on the culture? I think he was a pure definition of for the culture.
Yeah, he was for LA, period. He wanted to uplift the whole area and the culture to let them know if we get opportunities and if we give the opportunities is bigger than what we think we have in front of our faces right now at this very moment. And I think that's probably the biggest one of the biggest lessons that he taught everybody. He even said in his rhyme, he's like, I just prayed they give me options. I go cold turk as far as selling drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's what he was trying to show everybody, that there's options. There's options. It's bigger than just gangbanging and wars and turf wars and selling drugs. We can do a lot more than that. With the skills that we have, we can do a lot more than that.
You know, one thing I'm actually gonna remember him for, man. This is kind of wild, but I'm actually gonna remember him for. He appeared to be an individual that did not mind correcting himself. I don't know if you remember that time where it was a meme that had went up or a photo that went up of a bunch of black men at this function or whatever. And pardon me if I'm getting this incorrect on what the function was about. Nipsey had reposted and said, "These are, you know, I want you to peep how these are all real men." Woo woo woo. So it was implied, or it was misinterpreted, or it was assumed by the LGBTQ community that it was a homophobic remark because he was trying to say that this is what a man looked like instead of them showing, you know, other types of men, right?
Mm-hmm.
He corrected himself because he was just trying to say these are positive black men and the imagery of it. But he admitted that he could have articulated it better.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was real big of him, man, because he could have just folded his arms and said, man, no, this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw what he was progressive enough to kind of see why you would want to believe what he said and how what he said can be a little hurtful and how it can be misinterpreted. And he corrected himself, which that to me, that small little gem told me that this is the type of dude that's about correcting.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to be a true progressive, you have to be looking at the flaws in your life and be ready to push. And so him being a Crip member, him being a gang affiliated, him being somebody who came from the streets, you have to be able to look in yourself and say, yo, I got to correct this. I got to correct this mentality, and I have to do things that are positive. And he seemed like he gave his hand out to everything and everybody, being associated with the people that was gang, being associated to Bloods that are the rivals of the Crips, being associated with the Nation of Islam, being associated with brothers and organizations in Africa. It seemed like he put his hand out to everybody through really walks of action. You're right. It was very, when I think about it now and I say it out loud, it was very Tupac-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Tupac had folks that was down with him.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't even really remember Tupac can walk through New York and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even in the midst of that Biggie situation, because there were a lot of people that was riding with Pac. You go watch those YouTube videos on DJ Vlad videos or whatever. There are a lot of old school rappers from the 90s that be like, oh, that was my man. I was with him.
Naughty by Nature.
All of them,
Tresh
right?
has a tattoo of Pac on his arm.
Nice and smooth. You know what I'm saying? Greg Nice. They were like, no, that was my man. And that, not on some like they was like, no, that was my man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we forgot he filmed Juice in the beginning, but he also filmed that other movie in New York, Bullet, and that was during the Big and Pac feud, and he was chilling.
Yeah, most of his movies were filmed in New York.
That's true. Above the Rim, I forgot all about that.
Most of y'all of them, except for Poetic Justice.
That's about
which
it.
I think
right?
they filmed in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And well, he wasn't in Boys in the Hood. Should have been. Well, he wasn't in Minister Society.
Right.
Which he would have been, but yeah, mostly all his movies that he's done. Besides, I think Gang Related, that might have been filmed in LA.
Yeah, so Nipsey to me remind me of having that Tupac quality of bringing a unit of people together and being associated with everybody. I mean, his association with YG, his association with J.Rock, those are two Bloods that are on record.
Yeah, that
are like his close friend, Schoolboy Q. You know what I'm saying? These are people that's like, yo, that's like down with him. You know what I mean? So I admire that. I think, to me, he was the pure definition of what for the culture is. We say for the culture a lot, and it's become cliche. But to me, if you're not contributing, then you're not really for the culture. He contributed beyond his music. He contributed beyond just saying something. He had action. Look, it make me want to wake up and say, yo, what am I really doing? You know what I mean? When I start seeing all the stuff that he was doing, I'm like, yo, what am I really doing? And to me, that's what being for the culture was about, man. So this one sticks a little bit. When we look back on this, I feel like we're going to be foolish, but it also shows I don't think it's a representation of black on black crime. I think that's stupid. I think this dude represent himself. This dude, Eric Holder, allegedly.
He just happened to be black.
He just happened to be black. He represent himself. He don't represent me. He don't represent you. He don't represent all the black. It ain't no situation where it's like, oh, we gotta do better in life. No, because you see how people are rallying up right now. You see how LA is coming together right now. That show you nobody was down with this move. Nobody. And I hate to say this about other rappers that didn't die recently, but when they died, we didn't see this. You know what I mean? We are seeing memorials everywhere. They had a memorial in D.C. They had a memorial in Detroit. They had one in Baltimore. They have memorials about this guy across the country. Okay? This ain't something we were cool with. Other rappers have died. People tweeted about it. They were kind of like, oh, man, R.I.P. to such and such. And the people that they were around were sad about it. But we ain't see nothing like this in some years. You know what I'm saying? Like, not nothing like this in some years, yo.
Yeah, about 20.
Yeah. in about 20, right? So it's just unfortunate, man. And I really hope that I hope Eric Holder get all. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm on record. I'm gonna say this on record, bro. I don't want Eric Holder to die. I don't. To me, that's too good. I want him to live in jail, solitary confinement, and go through everything. I want him to get all the love he gonna get in jail. Cause
get all the love he gonna get in jail.
Get all the love he gonna get in jail. I've gotten older, man. I've come to realize that death sometimes,
long way.
Death is almost what these people be asking for sometimes. And I understand that if somebody killed my folks, look, when people kill my folks, man, I wanted them dead. That's real talk. Like I wanted them gone. But as I gotten older, and I heard about, I'll never forget, man. I'll close out with this. When my man passed away and he got murdered, man, the dude that killed him, man, I couldn't wait to hear about him getting it. When I heard about him getting it, my right-hand man and my big homie, when I heard later on that those guys was out of here, when they were going, man, I felt nothing. I felt like it was cheated. I want them dudes to go to jail, man, live a long life. Get all that love in jail. Get all that love. Get all that embrace. Security guard love. You know what I mean? Other prisoner love. I want you to get all that love in there. Because you took somebody's life, bro, and they didn't have to go down like that. I don't know what happened between him and this guy. We know what was said. But you know what really it's a testament of to me? It's a testament that we have not learned to solve our issues without gunfire.